computer. All right. Can everybody hear me okay? Have we got the voice all good? All right. Let's do this. So today's talk will be entitled The Lens of Clarity. And we're going to recap, of course, where we are on our journey of building our spiritual castle. And then in the second half of the talk, we will then start to declare the opportunity to live from truth rather than live from what is fictional and what is painful. And the talks, of course, will be split by the healing list of names. So far in building our castle, we have looked at spiritual bypassing, where one seems to pretend everything does not exist, that the pain down there somewhere is not for me, and you live in love and light to avoid what is dark and messy, that you pretend all is well with the world when the reality is far different. And here the opportunity was honesty. To be honest with both yourself and your surroundings. What was occurring for you, either what you were pretending did not exist. What was truthful for you, and you could then see the world with clear eyes. Without this truth and honesty, then with bypassing there was very little progress that could be made. Because it did not exist. The world, the pain, the event that is so difficult to surmount was not really here. So the one that bypasses lives a life of more fiction, not less. Lives a life of hidden pain which is suppressed rather than any time it is dealt with. So we asked you to be honest with your situations. Look at where you are. And then we built boundaries in our talk entitled Sacred Boundaries. The boundaries was choosing what you could allow in to your temple or your castle. What you would accept and what you would reject. What was healthy for you and what was not. So you could say no and mean it. So that when one day you could say yes, it had value. Now, people lost in these two topics found or would find it very difficult to make promises and keep them. Because the promises which boundaries offer are often avoided by the bypassing of what is truthful. So if you do not like promises and do not like structures and a need to deliver and need to do certain things that you must do, it is in one of these two places that you must look. Are you bypassing what is truthful? Do you have a sense of self? If you do not, then the world is a dangerous place. But what is the point in building a boundary around something that is uninhabited? So in radical embodiment we said, well, let us live within the boundary rather than trying to pretend and live within the fictional created world of the mind. So now we had weight behind the boundary and a sense of self that is starting to develop, and one feels the honesty of oneself. So the embodiment was then the true realism of what was being felt or done and needing to be tackled at any time. And we suggested that spirit is felt first within your nervous system before your mind understands. So the nerves are triggered, the knot in the stomach arrives before the understanding of what the event is or is happening. So in being both truthful and grounded and present, one then establishes oneself into the world, and one can tackle all things. But what is right to see? What is wrong to see? What is the right way to look at the world, and what is a fictional way? A way that has no value and no truth. What is the right way to see this? And now we come to the true lens of clarity, where we can see the world and see it for what it is, not what it is pretending to be. So we must offer both discernment, but be careful about judgment. Judgment then is creating something that is not truly there. So you judge things to be good or bad or even evil. Yet this may not be the truth of any situation at all. And the judgment then closes you up so much that again life once more becomes fictional. And judgment causes all sorts of actions and reactions which again are based in illusion and not truth. Judgment says what damage will be done by something very small and insignificant. Yet with discernment can see the world, not as difficulty, but perhaps as opportunity, as potential, of a way to live, a path to follow, a direction that must lead you over vales and over hills and into the truth of a promised land. But if you do not get these in the right order, and use the wrong one at the wrong time, it is possible your world become rather dark and misty and dangerous. And there is then the chance that you could become hypersensitive to the world. Hypersensitive that every little thing is a potential problem. Or perhaps you feel overwhelmed by the jobs that you must do, overwhelmed because you think they are not for you. I should not have to do them. If I pretend long enough, those jobs will just disappear. So with judgment you can fall backwards into bypassing, needing boundaries and needing embodiment. But with discernment, one sees a way through, sees possibility, sees potential, sees light in its truth, where judgment replaces light with darkness. So you can then find that you become toxic positive or toxic positivity, where you pretend everything is good, where in truth that is not the situation. So you may say, this is just easy to manage, it's just something that I will get through. It is something that must be delivered. I am fine, I am well. I am not hindered by any of this difficulty that must be addressed. Or perhaps you do the opposite and you have cynical defensiveness, where now you say everything is dangerous, everything is a problem, everything is too hard, too big, too difficult, and therefore I will go back to bypassing, to pretend it is not there. So now even the smallest task is difficult to do. And what was just the simple movement becomes so full of pain and potential danger that one does nothing, and one freezes and says, the world is against me. The world is not for me. I must retreat to my cave and just play nice music and sit in meditation till the clouds blow away. But this is not living life. This is now avoiding life and seeing life as the danger rather than the beauty. To seeing life that it is the obstacle rather than the launch pad. Seeing life that it is now full of monsters and difficult people and difficult situations and words that must be said, and I don't want to do it. Rather than seeing there is a path and I can walk through it. So the lens of clarity is seeing life in its truth, not seeing life in its fictional form. To see the way the mind is creating the judgment and is avoiding what is plainly visible. Where the refusal to tackle a problem, where that is the very thing which will lead you forward. So if you remember, you fall into the deep end of the swimming pool. You don't pretend the water is not there, but you know what you can do about it. So now the water within the swimming pool is there for your benefit. It is there to help you float and to travel. Water is not something that divides, but something that brings people together. Think of the continents. They can be seen as the protective ocean or the opportunity to move from one culture to another. So this is now the lens of clarity is the way you see what is real. Not with falseness, but with an open heart, rather than a closed mind. You look into that world, and you do not see a forest, but you see the beauty of nature. And you can look deep into the darkness of the dense trees and see it with wonder, not with darkness and danger. Something to be embraced and enjoyed rather than a dangerous place. Where you can look into this beauty and see all the little creatures living life in their wonder. How the myriad of life continues within the darkness of a forest. How life still lives, not closes. How the forest then gives the opportunity in a new ways of living life, rather than a dangerous border full of who knows what. So now this pivotal moment in our journey of building our spiritual castle means we start to look outwards, look into the world and see it as truth. So either you open towards the world or you close. So the boundaries then were your opportunities now, where once they were your protection, they are your opportunities. They are the launch pad for the boat to travel across the world, or the pack that you must put on your back and walk the mountain path. With a clear lens you determine what is right and what is pure illusion. And our opportunity now is to live life, not to close and to pretend it does not exist. If you refuse the true lens of clarity and you live just within your dark space of your room, your life begins to get narrower. And what is an opportunity of a garden then becomes a place that you dare not tread in. Or it becomes a place to grow vegetables and live life in the sunshine. But it takes the lens of clarity. It takes honesty. It takes, of course, the ability to see the truth in the right way. So if you are closed up, you have begun the path of dying, the land of death and darkness. But if you have these foundations we have mentioned in the order and have developed them purely and truly, rather than death, you have the joy of life. And you feel confident to go across your boundary. And you have established your sense of you within you and the connection of spirit that is felt within you. And then with all of this armour and weapons, you can walk forward knowing you are safe in the world. And as you walk onward, you may decide to let go of all that protection and see the world as a place of beauty. And in the following week, we start to look at the way we interact with others and see them in their truth. But that can only be done if you have the lens of clarity and can see into the world in its correct way. So you need both discernment at the expense of judgment, and you need truth and honesty at the expense of illusion. So with discernment and truth, the path just opens. And the opportunities arrive. They seem to arrive to you, given to you from somewhere else. A strange boat arrives on your shore, and that is an opportunity for you to travel. But if you're not seeing it right, then all sorts of monsters come out of that boat and are hiding somewhere that you have not seen yet. So where are you on your path? Are you judging others? Are you judging self? Are you seeing the world with the right eyes? Is your lens of clarity clear or misted? But that, of course, is the path we will look at in the second half of our talk. But I ask you now, internally, where are you? Bypassing boundaries, embodiment, or looking into the world with clear and correct eyesight? Is there truth or is there dishonesty? And you will tell, because is there peace with you? Are you here? Or are you lost in a world of mind? And this will determine where you are. So let us move forward. And the bridge we must walk over now, to go to the second half of our talk, is the healing list of names, if I can have those, please.
Yes. Robert, Bella, Linda, Eduardo, Claudio, Stephanie, Lauren, Patty, Chris, Ben, and Lucy Wielden, Anne and Kathleen, Mary, Geraldine, Penny, Jack Broughton, Sue, Jenny, Christopher, Misty and family, Craig and Harini, Maria, Ashley, Jonah, Jules, Stephen, Matthew, Eric, Louise, John, Mary, Marianne and Jody, Jill, Katie, Mitch, Bob, Philip, Jolie, Amanda, Len and Bev, Amanda, Menachem, Micaiah, and Owen, Jesse, Jean and Carrie, Laura, Ima, Stephanus, Gabrielle, Gemma, Antonella, Carrie and family, Barbara, Sheila, Karen, Tracy, Vince and Irene, Joe and all of Joe's family, Steve, Averill, Maya, Linda, Brenda, Ben, Irene, Clive, Jim, Debbie, Pat, Thea, Monica, Taylor, Griffin, Lonnie, Ron, and Kathy, and may all be happy. Thank you.
So building a castle of your spiritual foundation comes with the opportunity of discernment at the expense of judgment. One must start to determine what is a signal and what is noise, what is true and what is distraction, what is real rather than what is pretense. And you start to look into the world and see it in its right way. So perhaps the red flags, which are all too often visible, are no more than data, information. They are not warning signs, but they are clarity. They are not something to be avoided, but rather they are to be discerned as what is truthful. So you must look into the life and notice your times when you want to change the world, you want to fix the world, or you want to carry what is not yours to carry. You may want to change, thinking that is the way it should be. But of course, this is judgment. Or you want to fix what does not need to be fixed. Is this for you, or is this for someone else? Is this for them, or is it a path for you to follow? So, when you reclaim through discernment, you reclaim your energy. You reclaim your sense of self. You become present once more. And the world then is not dangerous but opportune. It is here. So discernment offers you presence of mind. So judgment closes the heart, but discernment opens the eyes. Judgment says no for the sake of saying no. But discernment, the mind is open first before a yes or a no is delivered. So one can see within your own individual body what these feelings are truly like. So with judgment there is a knot. With discernment there is a path. So if you think of your friends, your relatives, or maybe even yourself, of times when you are triggered, and see what is truthful first. Times when there is darkness and you have missed the light. Times when you are held back, when you did not see the possibility. So you limit yourself and you limit your interaction with the world, and yet you miss the living of life if you close all too quickly and not based on truth. So you don't say everything is positive and everything is dangerous. You just look, and you can become the observer of your situation. And in being the observer, then the event is neutral for the present moment. So your body will tell you what is true by feeling its actions and reactions before your mind makes a conclusion. If you see the situations of your life and you recognize that it is both dark and dangerous, where is the light? Where is the opportunity for me to be me, to live life more fully? Where is that opportunity now? With all events and all difficult times, the light is still there. You see it or you do not see it. And that is why you need the lens of clarity to see the world in its honesty first, and its opportunity which opens behind the honesty. So if you live your life and claim to be a being of high spiritual standing, is this truthful? Or is this just a light to the side which calls you to a true sense of self, which is the spiritual being? So even within the darkness of a dense forest, the light is there. And once seen, the light burns away all the darkness. And the difficult terrain is revealed as the path that you must take. That is hidden from you. So hence your gifts, your purpose, your meaning is hidden at these stages, only to be revealed with the lens of clarity. But you will not see this at all if you have not established your presence and honesty without bypassing, and establish one's sense of self within oneself, and are honest both to others and to yourself. If you have not established that, you will not see opportunity, or they will be hidden from you, but it is still there. So this comes to a point where people miss possibility. They miss their purpose. They miss their time and opportunities, thinking instead, I will sit in my cave and close the door and turn on nice music and meditate for 23 hours a day, because that's what makes me feel good. But that is shaky and will soon crumble in pain and difficulty. So you have an opportunity of correction. An opportunity that the possibilities are right here now. Your inner direction and your outer direction are meeting at this point. Judgment closes the door and discernment opens it. So how do you tell? Well, the first is to look at the body and see what triggers the body is presenting to you with the situation in front of you. Is there agitation? Well, that could be a no. Is there calm groundedness within you? Well, this could well be a yes. You should look at the world through an intellectual mind to begin with, and just see fact. The fact that this is this, and no other things are in the way. Let the mind be truthful and not creating what is not there. So see the fact and feel the body will bring you both into presence and openness. And then the light may start to glimmer to you. But the world is also derived from the ego. And the ego may say to you, what once was painful, and therefore project it outward. If you are one that projects, then there is pain in your past. If you are one that says, this happened before and therefore it will happen again, then the opportunities of life are far more harder than they need to be. So with the correct mind, the correct body, and the correct observation of your projections, there can only be truth and presence. And if you have truth and presence, the lens of clarity is clean. And you can look into the world and see what is there. And you may choose to act, you may choose to turn left, you may choose to sit still. But you do it based on honesty, not on fear. Do it based on love, not on regret. So our path so far is asking of you truth and honesty And your castle must be built on truth and honesty. If it is not, well, the castle of one day will not stand. Your sense of self will be, at best, shaky. And this is why those who follow this path and do this work to date then seem to be a rock in the life of others. Not because they mean to be, but because they represent truth. Not because they have built a castle of protection, but because the castle is also a temple of love. So are you lost in mind? Are you dangerous in heart? Are you controlled by the egoic false mind? Or can you see the world as it really is? And so this lens of clarity steps you back a little bit from the world, not because of avoidance, because you see it from a higher perspective. And that's why the lens of clarity can see the distance and not what's right on the nose. With a lens of clarity, the whole map, at least for a few steps, is there in front of you. And you don't resist it. You look at it, and you may pick it, or you may fold it, put it in your pocket and say, I will look at that another day. So right at this pivotal point of our series of talks, our direction has gone from inwards to establishing firm ground, and now to look outwards. Not because there is danger, but because there is potential. So there is an exercise you could do to see how clear you are, or perhaps to cleanse a certain situation. You may do this with a friend or just with a piece of paper and a pen. And you bring to mind, perhaps say the words, perhaps write the words of something that is triggering within you, or an event or a personal situation. And the aim is to turn negativity into neutrality. And we do this by looking at the facts first. So maybe a friend lets you down, makes a promise to be there on the hour, and 45 minutes later they have not arrived, without any message. So the facts could be that they are always late. And no more than that. No, and this proves they do not love or respect me. But you write the facts down first. And then you look into your past and see where in your past you have been triggered by something similar, meaning you are triggered now. And just notice you are judging now because of yesterday. And this automatically stands you slightly above the whirlpool of pain. And then you say, what is my path through this? Path, maybe you do not rely on your friend. You do not accept their words. You make other arrangements with other people. Or you choose to go forward in life rather than shrink from, they do not love me, I am a bad person. And so the path, when you see, means there is light through the darkest of time. But it must be based on truth and honesty. Where is the light through this situation now? And many times you will tackle one of these problems only to use the same thing time again, to travel through all of life's dark byways and find what is truly yours. And then you can look into life and travel its path and see the opportunities that are available to you. Not the opportunity to close, but the opportunity to open. Remember, judgment closes the heart. Discernment opens the eyes. And judgment forms a knot in your stomach, and discernment offers a path through. So pick your right action, but do it by observation first. And be prepared to walk our path still further forward. As in next week we start to encounter others. What will you do then? So your foundations, if you are following our work and reviewing what you are experiencing or understanding through your honesty, means now you are built on the foundation of truth. Not a pretense truth, but a real truth. And if you've built that correctly, it stands the storms of time and becomes a place of worship. So let us meet others on our path next time and understand what is occurring. If you have not got honesty now, go back and find where you've left it behind. Until we talk again next week. God bless you all. Hmm.